Welcome. You might have noticed I'm in a different room, and because we moved to a new house some time ago, and I had to rearrange my studio, but now everything is done. So hopefully I'll be able to upload more videos more often going forward. But anyways, the topic that I want to talk about today is building a decent home studio. And just an FYI, if you prefer to read, there is the blog post version of this video that you could read in the video description below that you can find the link. Anyway, so by this I don't mean any cheap nor any expensive, but something that is useful and applicable to many situations that you can use the studio for. Alright, so welcome back. The very first fundamental question that you should ask when you're building your home studio is, what are you going to use your home studio for? So identify the use case of your studio. And what I mean by that is, are you recording, for example, are you recording just a simple guitar and vocal, a single couple of tracks all the time? Or are you just doing a live streaming or podcasting? Because once you identify this question, it becomes very much easier for you to decide in terms of like gears to buy, what brands to buy, how expensive you should go, how cheap you go down, and so on and so forth. And the other, for example, if you are doing a live recording of a band and you need a ton of input, maybe like 10-20 input, so you're recording simultaneously like 10 input channel, then you might need a more expensive audio interface for it. But if you're just doing a couple of tracks and you're overdubbing stuff, you don't need any live inputs. So just like $100 type of enough audio interface will be enough for you. And just to be clear, the nature of this video is just going to be that I'm going to recommend kind of 3 levels of gears. So from each gear, I'm going to recommend like 3 brands, and then they're kind of different levels. So by different levels, it's not like necessarily cheaper. I mean, it is cheaper, but it's not like bad. But because it just has less features, it's gonna be cheaper. But in terms of the quality, it's still a great product. So I'm gonna just give you like 3 options that you could choose from based on your need. All right, so the fundamental gears, basically, when we say that, it's like, obviously the very first important question is your computer. And while the subject is really more broad and it just takes a lot more time to talk about this and today's video, so I didn't want to jam 2 topics together. So what I'm gonna do is just have a separate video for the computers, but at the moment, just a recommendation for you guys is that use what you have. Probably most of us, if not all, have computers at home. So use what you have first and see if it's going to work. If it's not, then you could shop for a computer. And after that, only like it becomes much easier for you to also like arrange your budget accordingly, because the computer is really the biggest factor in terms of cost for your studio. So it could go up to like $6,000-7,000 like a Mac Pro, or it could go down to like a laptop Dell is like $500. So again, for the same first question, the fundamental question always you should ask is what you're using your studio for. And once you know that answer, so you don't need to buy, as I said earlier, you don't need to buy an audio interface that costs you maybe $500-600 because it has a lot of input channels. But you could just buy something simple as 2 or 4 channel audio interface, which could go between $150 and $250, somewhere around there, based on the brand and the features on it and so on and so forth. However, just a recommendation, if you're just doing simple podcasting type of live streaming type of work, then probably something like the Focusrite 2i2 would be more than enough for you. And this is also it's also a great brand. And the other second level I would recommend is the Steinberg UR series, which I have it right here. This is my previous audio interface, and I still love this one too. It's great and works perfectly. But just because of a few minor features that I wanted to switch my third option, which is the not M audio, it's the Motu M series. I do not recommend M audio. Motu M series, which is right there, and I do recommend that as well. And all these three options, they have different levels of features and inputs, so based on your need, you could find which one fits for you. And like this is, for example, it's a 6 input channel, and they have even higher, I think, than 8. And the Motu also has 8 input channel, if I'm not mistaken, the highest that you can go with. So, but if you're doing like music production type of thing and you need 8 inputs or so, but I do recommend looking into the Motu M series, that one of those options might work perfect for you. And the other thing is to cover is the MIDI keyboard. Of course, if you're not doing any VST instruments recording type of work, you're not programming any MIDI drums, MIDI keyboard, MIDI pianos and things like that, you're just doing live podcasts like I said, or you're doing like a very minor, just an audio recording, for example, you don't have any MIDI, then you definitely don't need a keyboard for that. At least for the beginning, you don't need to spend money on the keyboard. Maybe later on in the days come in that you could just buy some MIDI keyboards if you want to do any programming of music. So that's something. But in terms of the brands, I do recommend the very first one. There's the M Audio, not the Oxygen, I think. Yeah, M Audio. Let me double check on the site. So just so I don't give you guys wrong information. Yes, so the M Audio Key Station and the MK3 version. It's better than the other ones, the latest one. This is just for very entry level type of work. But if you're a piano player originally and you need this hammer action stuff, then you should definitely go with the Native Instruments, the S series, which is the S88, and that's perfect. But if you're just in a lower budget or like you're just doing minor synth work and stuff like that, you could go with the Native Instruments again with the A series keyboard, which I have it right here. And this is really awesome keyboard for the price. And it comes with some small bundle of VST, the complete VST version. The very minor option that they give you for free. Those are the things. And the other thing is in the mid-range, if you want 88 keys still, but it's not going to be that hammered action type of thing, because if you're going to go with hammered action, it's always going to be somewhere around $700-800 to $1,000 kind of budget for the keyboard, for the MIDI keyboard. But you could get the Arturia Keylab Essential 88, and that is a great keyboard too. I used to have that before. It's an 88 key. It's not a hammered action, but for the price and the quality, it's perfect. So if you're just doing like minor stuff, but you want 88 key, then that's another great option that you can buy. So that's pretty much it for the MIDI keyboards. Let's dive into the other most important part of the home studio, and that is the speaker monitors. So for the speaker monitors, again, when you're doing, if you are doing a simple work, like the podcasting and stuff, like I said, you don't need to buy a very high quality kind of studio monitors, speaker monitors, but you could just buy something like the Mackie series or more of the PreSonus series. So in terms of brands, I recommend I mean, the Mackie and PreSonus, they're kind of very close to each other, but Mackie is the lower side in the levels of the quality of it. But PreSonus, let's start with PreSonus, which you could probably get something with around $200 range, one of their smallest option. But if you want that old like full bassy type of thing, then you probably don't even want to buy speaker studio monitor. You buy just the other sound system stuff. But in terms of what this post is about studio, home studio in terms of music related, so therefore my recommendation for the brands will be the PreSonus, the Eris, I think, is the E3, E5, whichever size you want, or the numbers related to the woofer, how bigger you want for the speaker. And for the second level is the KRKs. KRKs are great too, I used to have them, but I feel like the mid-rangey tone, I don't like it much on it. So that's one thing I didn't like it back then. But it's still great and you can get used to that, it's not a big deal. And especially if you're doing like not a heavy music production type of mixdown. But if you're really seriously doing like a music production stuff and doing like really heavy mixdowns and stuff like that, and I do highly recommend to get the Atom Audios, which is right, I have them right here, and this is, I believe, was the T5V model, and it's the 5-inch woofer, but there are the bigger size of this too. Then these are a little bit pricey, and I think this one was around $500 both, so $250 each. So that's pretty much it for the speaker monitors. So what about the screens, like the display monitors? I definitely recommend having 2 screen monitors. So if you end up buying a laptop or you had a laptop, then you have 1 screen on the laptop and you just add additional screen like I have here. So that's one thing. And in terms of like the monitor brands, my favorite one is the Asus usually, but there is the LG and many other ton of stuff, but this is all like subjective. So that one, the chair and the desk, these are all really subjective to you based on what you like, and it's not going to affect much of the end result of your mixdowns and work, but it will affect how comfortable you will work, you know, that's pretty much it. So that's something that you would need to do some research, see what type of desk you should buy, what type of chair, and so on and so forth. And for the monitors, how big of the size of the screen you want in terms of like how many inch monitor. And so that's pretty much for those things. So, oh yeah, so what about microphones? So the microphones, so if you are recording a vocal, then I highly recommend Audio Technica, which what was the model? Oh, right, I have it right here. Audio Technica, and this is the model AT2035. This is an awesome microphone. It will be around, probably when I bought it was around 230, somewhere around that range. With this price range, this is an amazing microphone for the vocal. And for recording and acoustic instruments, this is if you are doing any recording for acoustic instruments, I do recommend the Shure SM57. I always get confused with the 57 and 58. Which one was the 8? Which one's the... But this is the 57 for sure, so it says on it too. So this is actually a high quality industry standard microphone for recording instruments, the acoustic instruments. And it's not that expensive, it's like around $100 something like that. But if you ask me, okay, so how many of those I should get, then I will tell you it depends what you're gonna do again. Are you recording 3, 4, 5 vocals at the same time or instruments at the same time? Then yeah, you're gonna need 3, 4, 5 of these. But if you're just doing like an overdubbing and one microphone at a time, so you don't need to buy, you just buy one, it will be enough. So thank you for watching, and that's pretty much it. If I missed anything important in terms of building a studio, if you have any other recommendation of any other gears, please feel free to comment below in the video, so maybe I can get some more information from you guys too. And thank you for watching.